Today we're inside the Lloyd Noble Center at the University of Oklahoma for the final meet of the regular season. And we have a great one, a top 10 matchup as the number 7 Crimson Tide of Alabama visit number 1 Oklahoma. Take a look at the current rankings. These are the rankings as the teams head into the conference championship and the postseason through April. Hi everybody, I'm Bart Connor along with Allie Raceman, my fellow Olympian, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Allie, glad to have you here. Now, the Oklahoma Sooners have been ranked number 1 for 2 straight years. It's almost unbelievable. And Alabama, of course, is really building some momentum late in the season, so we should have a good meet today, shouldn't we?
Absolutely. It is week 11, so these gymnasts have been competing nonstop for a while. So at this point in the season, I think we can assume they're mentally and physically exhausted. And then you add the pressure on top of that Oklahoma has of being number 1. My coach used to always tell me that being number 1 is the hardest place in the world to be because all eyes are on you and everybody wants to beat you. And then you have Alabama, and they have a different type of pressure because tonight they can actually improve their rankings. And when we spoke to head coach Ashley Johnston, she told us she likes to ask her athletes who can handle the hard better.
Well, it's a big day and an emotional day for many of the athletes in the room. There are 7 Oklahoma Sooners who will be celebrating Senior Day today, and these are some of the greatest of all time for the Sooners. They have never lost a meet in Lloyd Noble Center in their careers. Incredible. And now the Sooners have been dealing with some illness, and so we'll see who makes the lineup today. There was strep throat going around with the team. Now, Luisa Blanco from Alabama leads that team that has won 6 national championships. She's coming off a big week last week where she got 2 perfect 10s, Allie.
So well deserved. Watch her hips open before she sticks that landing, and I love this celebration here. So much hard work goes into that moment. And then on floor, she does a beautiful double pike, legs glued together. And I love the way that her teammates celebrate with her as if they got a 10 themselves.
Let's remind everyone how a dual meet works in college gymnastics. Each team will put up 6 athletes on each event. You count just the best 5 out of those 6 scores towards their team total. And the home team starts in what we call Olympic order, which is on the vault. They finish on the floor. The visiting team, Alabama, will start on the bars and have to finish on the challenging balance beam. 4 rotations of competition, and we are set to go with sophomore sensation Faith Torres competing in the all-around today, and she has had a spectacular year so far, Ellie.
She really has, and when we spoke to Coach KJ Kindler, she said this is the most improved athlete on the team. Yurchenko 1.5, a little bit of under rotation, so she's not only going to get a deduction for the hop, but because it was under rotation, an additional 10th deduction as well.
Oklahoma, number 1 team in the country on vault because of those difficult vaults and usually quite consistent landings.
Yeah, most teams struggle to have 6 10.0 on vaults, but Oklahoma has over 10 that they can choose from.
Lily Hudson will lead off for the Alabama team. You can see the lineup of 6 athletes in the lineup today. They're currently the 3rd ranked team in the nation on this event. This is among their best events.
Yeah, head coach Johnston told us that Lily is their rock. This is why Lily is starting off on this event. It's so important to set this team off on the right tone. Blindfold just a little bit off on that, connected right into a double tuck dismount. Great stuck landing. I think the judges are going to take a little deduction because she had a little bit of a squat on that dismount.
Hudson competing in the all-around today. 2 all-arounders for Alabama, meaning they're competing in all 4 events. She'll compete along with Luisa Blanco in their lineup. The Oklahoma Sooners. Now up is Kira Wells, the freshman from Kansas. Faith Torres led off OU with a 9.8 with that first vault. Remember, 6 athletes compete. You count the best 5 out of 6 towards the team total.
Yurchenko 1.5 twist. Beautiful control on that landing. Just a small hop. I think the judges will only take half a tenth on that. This vault is out of a 10.0, same vault that we saw from Faith.
One of the two freshmen who have really been contributing this year for the Sooners, KJ Kindler. Just an amazing, iconic record. 18th season at Oklahoma. They've won 6 national championships. She's the only coach in collegiate history to bring 2 teams to the NCAA finals. She did it formerly at Iowa State when she was there, and then came down to Oklahoma and has dominated for the last decade. Chloe Lacourcier now for Alabama.
I love Chloe's form on this event. She just floats from one bar to the next. Hard to find a deduction. Even with that half twist right there, her ankles were glued together. Full in dismount. Oh, almost a stuck landing. A little bit over-rotated, had a little too much power there.
Big enthusiasm from Gina Quinlan. She is the assistant coach responsible for some of their work on the bars at Alabama.
At the end of the routine, keep in mind how tired and fatigued these gymnasts are. It takes a lot of endurance. So she had a little bit too much energy at the end of that routine.
Lacourcier, big expectations for her. She's a freshman just out of San Diego. Kara Wells had the 9.9 on vault in that second spot. That brings up Jordan Bowers, who's one of 4 athletes today competing for the Sooners in the all-around. This could be spectacular.
Beautiful. I saw her nail it in warm-ups. Coach Kindler told us that she's consistently sticking it in practice and she's waiting for it in the competition. So close there. Same vault we've seen from her teammates. Even in the slow motion, you see that her ankles and her feet are glued together. That is so hard to do. It's pretty impressive when you watch a slow-mo and it's hard to find any deduction.
She has competed in the all-around in all 11 meets for the Sooners this year and has incredibly consistent scores. Shania Adams now, the senior, up after Lacourcier had a 9.85. Lily Hudson led off Alabama with a 9.825.
I like how she's taking her time, and that pirouette was so beautiful because she held it at the top of the bar. Just like handstands like that, the judges are looking for you to hold that handstand. Double tuck dismount. Would you give that a stick? It looked like a little slide.
Well, don't get me going on scoring these days, because I think what's happened is the gymnasts have now superseded the quality and consistency of judging, so I don't guess anymore. But one of the greats of all time for Alabama, Ashley Johnston, in her second season at Alabama, she won a couple of national titles herself, and she was competing there, and now she is in charge of the program, and really impressed with the momentum that they're building. They started off a little slow this year, but big finish so far. Kat Lavasser, this could be a huge vault. She scored a perfect 10 earlier this year.
This vault is, I think, one of the best in NCAA. Wow. Oh, so close. So beautiful, the form that she has.
She got congratulations from Lou Ball, the associate head coach and husband of KJ Kindler. He's so proud of his vault team and consistency. They have 10 athletes in their lineup that can do 10-0 vaults.
It's pretty remarkable. Watch the height that she gets. Watch her knees and her feet are stuck together the entire time. There's so few gymnasts in the world that could do that.
She lands almost 7 feet from the vault table. Incredible athleticism for these athletes, and we're gonna ID some of the physics that go into that incredible vault in a few moments. Maddie Walagora now, the senior out of Rochester, Michigan, coming after Shania Adams, had a 9.925. Now, I saw Walagora a couple of weeks ago when Alabama went to LSU, and she had a mistake, only scored 8.4, was out of the lineup last week, but seems to be back in it this week.
Yeah, I think it just shows how fantastic of a competitor she is, because there's clearly no issues today. It takes a lot of courage to go back into the gym and improve. It can kind of mentally startle you a little bit if you fall and make a mistake, so I'm really happy and proud of her to see that. Watch the height on this Jaeger. She has so much time to open up, spot the bar, connects it immediately, so she's going to get bonus points. And then a double layout dismount. We get a different angle from the judges, so they might not see that little leg separation that we saw.
Alabama doing a nice job on the bars. They have to keep it close here in this competition because the Sooners have rarely betrayed in any competition this year. Here is the other freshman, Hannah Scheibel.
This vault is also out of a 10.0, but it's a front pike half. A different vault than we've seen on this team, but I've noticed a lot of more gymnasts in college gymnastics are doing the front pike half, so I love to see that.
Levasseur before her had a 9.9, so the Sooners so far have a 9.8, two 9.9s, and a 9.925. This is more evidence of why they are one of the top scoring teams in the country on vault because of their explosive, difficult vaults and just superb execution all around.
Absolutely. I think Oklahoma does hit better than anybody else. Their form is pretty unmatched.
This is Cam Machado now. 9.825 the score for Waligora.
Pack Salto. The best gymnasts on bars take it one skill at a time and have a rhythm. You want to have the same rhythm in practice that you do in competition, which is so much easier said than done. Because when you're in practice, you're not as nervous as in the competition. Great connection, blindfold into the double tuck dismount. This was the only major deduction I saw. Didn't quite hit that handstand at the top of the bar, but still managed to connect it into that double tuck dismount, controlled the landing very well.
And competing on vault for the University of Oklahoma, Ava Siegfeld.
Ava Siegfeld, the sophomore out of Virginia. Very powerful vaulter after Hannah Scheibel got a 9.875. She's in the anchor spot today.
Yurchenko 1.5.
Wow, such power.
Yeah, Ava's first competition this season was last week. She was out the entire season because of a concussion, so I'm really happy to see that she's back out there competing and she's doing so well.
First time in the lineup last week, a 9.9 for her. Tonight, we'll have the exclusive live announcement of the 68-team NCAA Women's Championship field. We'll break down every team and every matchup in each region at 8 Eastern on ESPN and the app. Luisa Blanco, who has literally had one of the great college careers of all time with championships, titles, fabulous execution, and perfection throughout, will be the anchor competitor after Cam Machado had a 9.925.
Yeah, what stands out to me about this bar routine is her toe point. Beautiful full in dismount, even points her toes in the dismount. That's exactly why she's picked to anchor this team.
This year she scored perfect 10s on both vault and floor. She has a season high of 9.95, and you can see why. Blanco, the graduate student out of Dallas, did her club training at Woga Gymnastics that trains so many world and Olympic champions.
Yeah, I love how her knees are even glued together on this dismount.
9.95 for that routine would give Alabama the lead, which would be a big boost for them here after the first rotation. The Oklahoma's final competitor, Ava Siegfeld, had 9.85. So the Sooners had 3 scores 9.9 or better. Sooners typically averaging 9.9 on vault, so a little behind their pace. And a 9.975 is the score that comes in for Luisa Blanco. We'll update the scores, but when we just saw Kat Levasseur score a 9.9 on vault in the first rotation. When we come back, we'll break down the science behind her vault.
There is a significant gap between a good vaulter and a great vaulter. In fact, in the 2024 gymnastics season, vault has the lowest number of perfect 10s amongst the 4 events. Oklahoma's Katherine Levasseur is one of the most consistent vaulters in college gymnastics, so let's leap into her routine. In order to secure a big vault, a gymnast must create a large amount of power to carry them through, and that all starts on the vault runway. The runway is 84 feet in length, and most college gymnasts top out at 17 miles per hour before they hit the springboard to begin her pre-flight. Once Kat makes contact with the vault table, the key points of emphasis are her wrists and elbows. When she is pushing off the vault table, her elbows are experiencing roughly 2.7 times her body weight and her wrists upwards of 4 times body weight. The vault table is 4 feet off the ground. At her maximal height, Levasseur hips are over 4 feet above the table, meaning her head is 10 feet in the air, the same height as the rim of an NBA basketball hoop. Contrary to what you may think, the better the landing, the less impact on a gymnast's body. On an uneven landing, a gymnast can experience up to 18 times their body weight in ground reaction forces. Since Kat sticks her landing, she disperses the force on her body optimally, but still encounters 11 times body weight upon impact. Putting all of this together solidifies Katherine Levasseur as one of the great vaulters in college gymnastics.
This is really cool to see. I don't know if it's cool or I should be concerned as somebody who has had a lot of pounding on my body over the years. But what's so interesting about this is that's just one vault. Think about all the other practices that these gymnasts are doing day in and day out, and then you add the hard landings on the competition floor, and then all the other events too.
Maybe that explains why our lower backs hurt.
I think that's right.
Talk about greatness, not only Levasseur, but Audrey Davis, one of the greatest of all time on bars in college, had 12 9.975s in her career until a couple of weeks ago. Got her first perfect 10. She is the leader in the country, and she will be on bars with the Sooners when we come back for the second rotations. And Alabama has the lead, and they go to the vault. On Monday night, we have an NBA special edition doubleheader. To get the night started, the Heat face off against the 76ers at 7:30 Eastern. And then the Knicks take on the Warriors. Our coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 7 on ESPN and the app. Getting set for the second of 4 rotations. The Oklahoma Sooners rarely find themselves trailing, but guess what? Alabama was strong and consistent with their landings on the bars in the first rotation. They have the lead. There's Audrey Davis, who is quite known for this motivational talk before the bars rotation, Elliot.
Yeah, when we spoke to head coach KJ Kindler earlier in the week, she says that Audrey lights a fire under the team before they compete on bars.
Speaking of lighting a fire, Jamison Sears, this spark plug of a freshman, she is something to see and big potential for the Crimson Tide.
I love the way that she opens her hips in time to spot the landing. It's really beautiful for all those gymnastics fans out there. It reminds me of watching the 1992 Olympic gymnastics. It was such a beautiful time for gymnastics.
Now, she is a lot of fun, and we'll see a lot from her in her career. I don't know where she gets all that energy, but she just goes non-stop. Danny Sievers will be up for the Sooners. You can see the lineup there, which finishes off with 2 of the best and 3 of the best in the country with Smith, Davis, and Bowers.
Danny is incredibly consistent on this event. Love the way that she's hitting her handstands. Almost feels like she's taking a deep breath at the top of the bar. Full and dismount. She usually sticks that. Coach Kindler says she's always the last one to leave the gym. She's such a hard worker.
She's in the bar lineup only 9 times this year. She's competed for the Sooners in that lineup with a season high of 9.95. Did superbly well on floor last year at the National Championship, where she was an All-American. Corinne Banaghan, now the junior from New Jersey, will be up for Alabama. Jamison Sears with that first vault. Yurchenko full, which is scored out of a 9.95, scored a 9.8.
Yurchenko 1.5, stuck landing, got a lot of distance on that vault. That was huge. That vault is the same vault that we saw from a lot of the Oklahoma gymnasts. It's out of a 10.0. Watch the distance that she gets. That's something that the judges are looking for. She also landed directly in the middle of the mat. Those lines are there for direction for the judges to make sure the gymnast is straight.
Alabama 7th in the country as a team on vault. They're known for their big explosive vaults to see if they can control the landings. I'm sure they're excited because they have the lead over the Sooners coming into this rotation. Kat Levasseur now on the bars. 9.95 was the leadoff score for Danny Sievers. Wow.
And that release move Kat just competed is actually her favorite skill in all of gymnastics to do. It's called a Tkachev. I think Kat has some of the best form out of any gymnast, probably in the world. And that was the best blind full I've seen her do, connected right into a double back.
What a season she has had for Oklahoma.
Watch right here, Tkachev, the height, and she spots the bar with her eyes to have enough time to catch it. This blind change, sometimes she's a little bit short of that handstand, and that was one of the better ones I've seen her do.
11 times this year she's been in the all-around. Get this, 66 routines. Only one time did she score below a 9.8, and it was a 9.775. She is spectacular. Chloe Lacourcier on vault now for Alabama.
Yurchenko full, same vault we saw from Jamieson. It's out of a 9.95. I think she tried a little bit too hard to stick that dismount. She got height in the air, but I think she bent her legs a little bit too much. So the judges will take off because she had a little bit more of a squat than they'd like to see.
Miss Energy, Jamison Sears pouring it on. Banagin, before Lacourcier, had a 9.925. As we go back to bars now, Faith Torres, you can see her average on bars is 9.9. Kat Levasseur had a 9.975, meaning one judge gave a 9.95 and one gave a 10. They take the average of the two for their score here in dual meet competition.
The consistency, I just saw her in warm-up do a beautiful pack salto.
What do you think happened there, Allie?
You know, sometimes the timing of bars is so hard, and every gymnast likes a little bit of different looseness or tightness on the bar. I think she just missed her hands. She didn't grab the bar enough.
She was so high.
She got so high on that. She tried to go big and just didn't catch it at the right angle.
She's been in 11 times in the all-around for the Sooners. Only twice below 9.8 the whole year. So the Sooners find themselves in a little bit of a bind here. Remember, 6 athletes compete. You count the best 5 scores. Now, their first 2 were remarkable, but they don't have much room for error after this if they're going to continue to hold off Alabama.
Yeah, and we're honestly not used to seeing Oklahoma make mistakes, so it's a good reminder that even when you're number 1, you're undefeated, everyone is still human, and I think she did an incredible job of getting back up there and finishing the routine. But they are going to want to drop that score.
A rare mistake for the Oklahoma Sooners here in week 11. There's no question that these athletes are fatigued after all the competition every week and sometimes twice on a weekend. Lily Hudson now coming after. Chloe Lacourcier had a 9.75. High score so far for Alabama on vault is Banaga's 9.925.
Chenko 1.5 twist. I could tell that was going to be a good landing because her elbow position on the table, her elbows were so straight.
She had a 10 earlier this season on vault.
I love, we call it block in gymnastics. Her elbows are so straight. So the more straight your elbows are on the table, the higher that you can get off the vault.
Coaches say she is the epitome of good to great. She's always looking for how can she get just a little bit better, willing to make adjustments and even routine changes to contribute more to her team. Judges conference on bars. Tonight we'll have the exclusive live announcement of the 68-team NCAA Women's Championship field. We'll break down every team and every matchup in each region at 8 Eastern on ESPN and the app. According to the ESPN bracketologist Charlie Cream, the projected #1 seeds are Iowa, South Carolina, Stanford, and USC. The projected #2s are LSU, Ohio State, Texas, and UCLA. Bars is underway with one of your friends and former teammates, Reagan Smith.
Yeah, Reagan's got a lot of pressure on her right now because they're looking to drop that fall. But I think if anyone can handle the pressure, it's Reagan. She's got a lot of experience of being on the national team for 7 years. That's where you can see her elite gymnastics career really come in handy. And what's so impressive about this is Reagan was sick earlier in the week. She actually had to miss Monday and Tuesday of practice. So to be able to have such a clutch performance when you've also been sick, just really shows what type of competitor she is.
Outstanding. And they needed that because Faith Torres had only done 9.275. That would be the score they hope to drop, but they need 2 more hit routines as we go back to Gabby Gladio now on vault for Alabama.
Yurchenko full. Vault is out of a 9.95. What I like about Gabby is she has a lot of power, but her gymnastics look so effortless. I think as she gains more confidence in the competition, I'd love to see her open her hips a little bit more because she piked down ever so slightly, but it was a great vault.
Lily Hudson before her had a 9.9. Reagan Smith scores come in. It's a 9.975. Once again, that means one judge had a 10 and one at a 9.95. Well, we spoke about her a few minutes ago, Audrey Davis. Literally, this routine is often a masterpiece in execution, difficulty, and refinement.
Watch the handstand position. That's textbook, exactly what the judges are looking for. That skill requires so much flexibility. Beautiful Jaeger gets so much height on that. Toes pointed the entire routine. Pirouette. And then right here again, we're gonna see her show off her flexibility in a double front half twist. Wow, that actually was the best dismount I've seen. Some people say that she doesn't make the twist all the way around. I think she made it all the way around that time.
That was spectacular. That double front half out of the inverted giants.
The amount of flexibility that that skill requires is just incredible. Watch this. So hard to grip the bar, and then she does a release move out of it. And then this double front half twist, I think it's all the way around. That was fantastic.
Wow. Well, she has scored, like I said, 12 times 9.975s and 110 in her career. Expect more from that incredible gymnast. Here is Luisa Blanco, the all-around star from Alabama.
Chenko 1.5. I like the extension in the air. She stuck it cold last week. Had a little bit too much of a rotation on that, but I think she's going to be really happy with that vault.
Alabama had 2 scores 9.9 or better. Gabby Gladio before her had a 9.85. So the Sooners now with Audrey Davis's score coming in a 9.925 and one competitor to go. This routine coming up for Oklahoma will be critical because they're going to want to drop the 9.275 from earlier in the lineup. They need a hit from Jordan Bowers to hold Alabama off here at the halfway point in the competition.
Watch the height on this piked Jaeger. Love the extension of her handstands. Pack salto. A lot of pressure on this routine right here. They'd like to drop that fall. The dismount, tuck full in. She usually sticks it. Wow. And Oklahoma is showing why they're #1 and why they're undefeated. Just hit routine after routine. And even when there's mistakes, they're able to come back like this, unfazed by the pressure. And then from this angle, watch her knees are together the whole time, toes pointed, has enough time to look with her eyes to make sure she gets that landing.
Bowers needs a 9.7 on bars to give Oklahoma the lead. That is surely going to be more than 9.7. So the Sooners, who were trailing after the first rotation, will retake the lead likely here in the second rotation. Waiting on Jordan Bowers' score for the Sooners. This is just a remarkable team in terms of consistency. It was really uncharacteristic to see a mistake at all from the Sooners, especially with someone like Faith Torres, who just seems solid as a rock.
Yeah, I think sometimes when people watch gymnastics, they forget that everyone's human and they're nervous and there's a lot of pressure. As I said earlier, these gymnasts are exhausted. They've been going for 11 weeks straight, and sometimes when you make a mistake, you kind of get it out of your system, and it's how you learn and grow to be better for the next competition.
Scores in for Jordan Bowers, a 9.975, so the Sooners will take the lead at the halfway point in this competition, but it was Alabama, led by Ashley Johnston, who had the lead after the first rotation with an outstanding performance on the vault. Ashley is joining us now. Ashley, good to see you. What are you seeing from your team that you like, and what would you like to improve?
Yeah, I'm proud of how our team has started so far. We're really focusing on just really dialing into the things that we can control and not worrying about the outcome, but staying really invested in the process. And I felt like we did a good job of that on bars, and then carried that same focus over to vault, and now we just need to keep it going.
Thank you, Ashley. Good luck to the rest of the competition.
Thank you.
Ashley Johnson and KJ Kindler both know about winning national championships, one as a gymnast and one as a coach. When we come back, we'll dive into some of the legendary coaches in NCAA gymnastics. The Lloyd Noble Center here on St. Patrick's Day. The Oklahoma Sooners with an outstanding 49.8 on the bars. Moved back into the lead here at the halfway point in the competition. You talk about how dominant KJ Kindler's team has been in the last decade. They've won 6 of the last 9 NCAA championships. They've been ranked first for the last 2 years. And they've been a top 2 finisher in 10 of the last 11 seasons. What an incredible record. I'm Bart Connor along with Allie Raceman. What makes Oklahoma so good?
It's just remarkable. When we spoke to head coach Kindler, she said they're doing something new this year. The gymnasts who are consistently doing all around or 3 events are getting an extra day off every single week. And Coach Kindler says she really feels that's made a huge difference because it allows them to have a mental break. And I admire this because even after so much success, Kindler is still trying to find ways to be even better.
And they're focusing on the details every day, even late in the season.
Absolutely. I think that they have the best form out of any team in the country. Even when you watch slow-mo, it's hard to find a deduction when you watch them.
Maybe that explains why KJ Kindler joins among the best college coaches of all time. We call it the Mount Rushmore of college coaches. Suzanne Yocklin at Georgia had 10 titles. Greg Marsden at Utah, 9. Valerie Condos Field, 7 at UCLA, and Sarah Patterson at Alabama, and KJ Kindler tied with 6 NCAA titles. Kindler, the only coach still actively coaching. Now, Ashley Johnston herself knows something about championships. 2-time national champion when she was competing at Alabama, 10-time All-American. Really impressed with what she's been doing with this team.
Yeah, something that we talked about with Coach Johnston is that she really wants them to play gymnastics. And when we were talking to her, what really struck me is that she not only focuses on who they are as a gymnast, but also who they are outside of gymnastics and who they will be, which I think is incredible.
They walk in the gym and you know when they've arrived. They got sunglasses on, they're playing spike ball, they're having a good time. They're gonna have to be great in this next rotation because the Sooners are now back in the lead. And welcome back to Norman, Oklahoma, the final meet of the regular season, and this is a great one. Alabama at number 1, Oklahoma. Alabama had the lead after the first rotations by 5/100ths of a point, but Oklahoma, after a fall, a total of 3 scores, 9.975 on bars, have surged into the lead by .375 here at the halfway point. So Oklahoma will go to the beam in this rotation, where they are the number 1 team in the country. KJ Kindler, well known for creating some kind of a special sauce, and here she gives a few notes to Audrey Davis, who will be their leadoff competitor.
Yeah, I asked Coach Kindler, what do you say to Audrey before she goes on beam? And she said she goes through every skill in Audrey's routine, gives her small reminders to think about during the routine. Coach Kindler has so much trust in Audrey. She's so consistent. She says it's essential that Audrey starts on beam because she's a sure thing.
Did you have certain key words that you focused on when you were prepping for beam?
I try to remember to not hold back. My coach used to actually tell me to break the beam, to go so aggressive and not hold back at all. Because if you hold back on beam, that typically will end up with an error and you might fall.
Look at that, her NQS, her national qualifying score, is over 9.9, and she's in the lead-off spot for the Sooners. Incredible. If there's one event that the Sooners have defined in the last decade, it is this event. KJ Kindler's specialty, the beam.
Yeah, I think that this event on balance beam for Oklahoma really sets them apart from everyone else.
Audrey Davis among the seniors and graduate students who are competing today for the last time in a home dual meet. They will be here next week for the Big 12 championships. But an emotional night for many of these young ladies who have friends and family in the crowd on senior day.
Yeah, it is such an emotional night because they all love gymnastics. They've been doing it their whole lives, and some of them are going to be retiring after this. Round off double twist, stuck landing.
Oh my. Just as you said, they can count on her.
Audrey's consistency is remarkable. This was the only deduction, obvious one, a wobble there. Very actually uncharacteristic for Audrey. That's how consistent she is. And then slight crisscross of the legs there. Very hard to squeeze your legs together at the end of the routine when you're tired.
Audrey Davis, all arounder, but tonight just competing in 3 events, not in the vault, as Maddie Walagora will lead off for Alabama on the floor. They trail by just under 0.4 of a point. Alabama currently ranked 14th in the country on this event, but like vaulting, they're also known for big high-flying tumbling.
Yeah, you're gonna see right here this first tumbling pass. Front layout into front double full. Looked a little too easy for her. What's impressive about going first on floor and also really challenging is that they have a 4-minute warm-up. And the person who goes first on floor has to have enough endurance to be able to quickly warm up their skills, their tumbling, their dance, and then have enough time to rest in order to go on floor. These floor routines are 1.5 minutes, but they require so much endurance and they're a lot more tiring than they look.
Think about these remarkable young women. 7 times this year she's been in the floor lineup. By the way, she also has a career-long 4.0 grade point average at Alabama and is getting her master's in health studies in the middle of all this and competing week in and week out at a high level for this great team.
Round off 1.5 punch front layout. That layout floated in the air. Great start. It's always so important to go first up because it really gets the rest of the team pumped up, excited. It gives them the confidence, especially when you're going under the undefeated team like Oklahoma.
Talk about an athlete who contributed a whole bunch the end of the season here. Ava Sigfield, rarely in the lineup for the Sooners, steps in on vault and then beam in the second spot. Last week gets a perfect 10. First time ever in the competitive lineup for the Sooners on beam, and she gets a 10.
I love this. I watched this and I was so excited and so happy for her to go in your first time competing on beam, especially in this lineup. You could argue that making this Oklahoma lineup is probably the hardest lineup in the entire country. So the fact that she got in and got a 10, handled that pressure.
Oh.
That handspring layout, you know, this is the second mistake we've seen from Oklahoma, and it's uncharacteristic of them, but at the end of the day, there's, as I mentioned in the beginning, they are #1. Everyone's watching them. It's so much pressure. It's a little bit crooked on that back handspring layout, and when you're already off on beam, there's really not a lot you can do about it.
Audrey Davis led the Sooners off with a 9.925.
You know, even though we're in week 11, they don't want to be perfect here tonight. The goal will be to peak at national championships. So this is still a place where they can get their nerves out and learn. Back handspring gainer full, finished really well on that routine. It is not a fun feeling to make a mistake on your first skill. It takes a lot of courage and confidence to continue that routine again. Right here, back handspring layout. You see that front foot was, half of it looked like it was off the beam.
You talk about finding that balance between control and aggression. It's not an easy thing, especially on enormous pressure.
It's not, and especially when you're nervous, sometimes you forget the cues in your mind that you remember in practice.
Ella Burgess now for Alabama on floor after Maddie Walagora led them off with a strong 9.875. Opportunity for Alabama to get back in this. They can continue to be clean here.
Double pike. What's really cool about that first pass on floor is Ella had a previous injury and she didn't think she'd ever be able to do a double back again. So she's really proud that she's able to do it and compete it so well. Another double tuck. What stands out to me about Ella when I watch her compete on floor and beam is she's always smiling. And she talks about how that's really important to her because when she smiles, it reminds her to have fun, but it also helps calm her down.
Coach Johnson said she really focuses on details. And she's become quite a leader on this team. She's a senior out of Florida. Another athlete whose career will be coming to the end, likely at the end of this season. A lot of emotions with these young women that have been in the sport for most of their lives.
Front full into front layout. I love how Ella does a 3-pass routine. We often see a 2-pass, so I like how she's challenging herself with the 3-pass routine.
Some of the toughest athletes on campus. She had an Achilles injury. She was out a couple of years ago. Back in the lineup and contributing to this team that has won 10 SEC championships, 6 NCAA championships. One of the great teams of all of women's sports, not just gymnastics. Ava Sigfeld had a 9.925, so Jordan Bowers, you see her average is over 9.9. The Sooners, 9.225, pardon me. 9.225 for Sigfeld. So Bowers now in a very interesting position because getting the momentum back is key after a fall especially.
Yeah, I think for Jordan, this is probably the most important routine of the entire competition for the Oklahoma Sooners because she's got to get this team's confidence back. Back handspring layout.
Coaches tell us that she just exudes confidence in everything she does. She might be exactly the right person for this moment.
Absolutely, yeah. Coach KJ Kindler talks about how she is fire and passion. What I like about Jordan is she has a lot more choreography in this routine than most gymnasts. It doesn't give her extra bonus points, but it leaves the judges with a better impression. Dismount, round off, double twist, stuck landing. That's what they needed to do.
That's a good moment for her, who's not often in the beam lineup.
This is beautiful. Back handspring layout. And then round off double twist. I feel like this has gotten improved. It's hard to keep your legs together, as I mentioned before, when you're tired.
She's had 10s in her career on vault, bars, and beam. Nothing yet on the, vault, bars, and floor. And of course, getting a 10 on each event is called the Gym Slam. That is coveted among the all-arounders in college gymnastics. Only 14 gymnasts in history have done it. Here's exciting Jamison Sears now for Alabama.
Huge double layout. We were watching her in warm-ups, and she just has a dance party the whole time. Just always looks like she's having so much fun.
Ella Burgess before her, a 9.9.
showing off her flexibility there. I like the height on her jumps there. Jamison is so outgoing that she actually led a pep rally her freshman year earlier on in the fall in front of all of the students.
She seems like she's always going to be at the front of the line when there's a conga dance or something. A lot of fun, a lot of energy, and this is a great routine so far.
Front through to a double tuck. Makes gymnastics look so easy. And the way she's performing, that's how she is on the side when the rest of her teammates are performing and in warm-ups. So fun to watch her.
Jamison Sears, there'll be big expectations for her because 7 of the athletes at Alabama this year, seniors and graduates, will be retiring. So they're going to count on her power.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch her. She has a very bright future. Watch the height that she gets. Straddle over 180 degrees, which is what the judges are looking for. Front through into double tuck. Love the way that she performs that routine.
This is an important moment now for the Sooners. Faith Torres coming after Jordan Bowers, a 9.95 for her. Remember, Torres had a 9.275 in the first rotation after the fall on bars, and Oklahoma already has one fall here on the beam.
Very difficult side aerial into back layout step out. It's hard for most people to even do that on the floor on a straight line, let alone on the balance beam.
Do you ever think about modifying your routine when your team's under pressure, changing a skill or doing an easier routine?
I've wanted to, but my coach never let me because I think that the hope is that you do what you do in practice every single day. These are the moments. This is why these gymnasts train so hard every day, for moments like that.
Faith Torres, what a comeback after that uncharacteristic mistake on the last event.
And I think with gymnastics, especially when you're Oklahoma, they want to win a national championship. So Coach KJ Kindler says it's everything or nothing. You kind of have to go big or go home, and when you hold back, that's when you tend to have more mistakes.
You see the Olivia Troutman on the sidelines there, the former champion at Oklahoma, now on the coaching staff. She was known as the secret weapon for the Sooners because she usually came on late in the season and delivered some key performances. Jamison Sears, 9.925 for the freshman. Lily Hudson now.
Front layout into front double twist. I thought she was actually going to be a little under-rotated on that, but managed to do that landing well. It's very hard to have that balance, especially when you're excited, you're pumped up, you've got your teammates cheering for you. Hard to not get too excited. I feel like when I watch other sports, it's good to be pumped up, but in gymnastics, you just want to do your normal. Double tuck. Oh, a little bit over-rotated on that. The judges will take off for that. And that 4-inch mat right there is not a deduction. It's just to help with the extra sting on that landing. I think it's really smart this late in the season just to protect their body a little bit more.
Even that landing looked a little bit like she didn't really want to plant it into the ground because, you know, that takes a toll on the ankles, doesn't it?
Yeah, oftentimes when you stick the landing, it can be a little bit more of a sting. This pass, see, her shoulders were a little bit too far back for me. I'd love to see them upright. And then this double tuck had a little bit too much juice at the end of that routine. But the judges would rather see an over-rotation rather than an under-rotation because she's showing she's got enough endurance at the end of her routine.
Faith Torres, talk about a comeback. She had a 9.975 on beam. And that brings up Kat Levasseur. Kat in the all-around today already has a 9.9 on vault and a 9.975 on bars.
I've been very impressed with Kat's consistency, but also her form. I think a lot of gymnasts around the world want to know her secret.
Oh,
Back handspring, layout, step out.
what do you think it is?
You know, I don't know, honestly. I think for some gymnasts, it's like you either have it or you don't, but I think it requires another level of perfectionism, of just making sure that everything you do is done to the most perfect ability, but it's really hard to do that. I personally couldn't do it like that when I was competing. Showing off her flexibility, Coach Kindler really emphasizes the dance. She wants to work on the releve.
Releve, of course, is being high up on that foot when you're in a turn or pose on beam.
Back handspring gainer full.
Oh.
Small step on that landing.
You talked about Kindler focusing on the details. You mentioned releve and other elements. I mean, that's really one of the difference makers with this team is their focus on the precise execution.
Yeah, Coach Kindler talked about how she, after they're done with their routines, she makes them do extra routines. She calls them Hollywood routines, and they have to knock her socks off. So they have just as much of an emphasis on the choreography and the dance as they do on the acro skills, and I think that that sets them apart on events like beam and floor.
Oklahoma has 3 scores 9-9 or better. Remember, they still have one fall that they hope to replace that score, and this brings up Luisa Blanco. Lily Hudson had a 9-8. So Alabama doing a really nice job here on floor with 2 scores 9-9 or better.
Double pike. I don't think she'll receive any deduction for that. She opened up at the right time. On floor, you are allowed to lunge out of your tumbling castles. You don't have to stick it. It's the only event you don't get a deduction if you take a step.
This is one of the events where she scored perfect 10 last week. Interesting note for Olympic fans, she has qualified for the Olympics. She'll compete for her home country of Colombia.
Yeah, and Coach Johnston talked about how they're trying to manage making sure they're resting her enough because she's basically been in peak shape for the last 2 years. When you're trying to balance being an elite gymnast, competing at the Olympics this summer, but then also competing at the NCAA level every single week, it's exhausting. And so I'm really impressed with how well she's been able to manage it.
Went to the Pan Am Championships and earned the highest all-around spot for an athlete not on an already competing team, which earned her a spot to the Paris Olympics. So we'll see her this summer.
Another 3-pass routine, which I love. The last pass had really good control on that front layout. Watch this double pike. I like how she's actually more open, which tells me she has a lot of ease with it and gets a lot of height. And then watch her shoulder position and her chest is up.
Blanco is also one of the 6 finalists for the AAI award. This is her 2nd year in a row. That award is given to the top senior student athlete. Reagan Smith, 9.99 beam average. There was a 4-week stretch where she scored 4 perfect 10s back to back to back to back. How remarkable is that?
It's incredible. I think Reagan is the queen of the beam, and it shows. Slight wobble on that, but when we talked to Coach Kindler, she said Reagan despises mediocrity. If she's in practice and she has a slight waiver like we just saw in that back handspring layout, she will do it again until she feels it's a 10-0 routine.
7 times in her career she has scored 10s. That ties her on the beam, ties her with Maggie Nichols, the Oklahoma legend.
Love the flexibility that Reagan has. That straddle jump was over 180 degrees. The judges are looking for 180. Anything less will be a deduction.
fifth-year senior here at Oklahoma. So especially emotional night for this young lady as her career is wrapping up in front of friends and family at home.
Back handspring gainer full. Love the way she has time to open her hips up to spot that landing. I think Reagan is she cares so much about being perfect on beam. She's gonna be bummed with this back handspring layout. For anybody else, they'd be thrilled with this beam routine. And she should be proud of herself, but she's used to being perfect on this event.
Well, here's the thing for the Sooners, and the most important thing is Kat Levasseur at a 9.9. Reagan Smith got a hit. So they will be able to replace that 9.225 earlier in the lineup. So the Sooners can come away with a strong beam score. Once again, reminding people why they're the #1 team in the country. Here is Gabby Gladio for Alabama coming after Luisa Blanco. Got a 9.9.
Watch the height that she gets on this. Doesn't even have to use her legs to help her with the rotation. Coach Johnston says that on game days, Gabby gets in the zone, and when she's in the zone, get out of her way.
They said they don't care whether it's board games or spike ball, she is in to win. She's a sophomore from North Carolina, big expectations for her as well, and certainly one of the heir apparent to this great program, because she's a very balanced all-around gymnast.
These dance elements, a lot of it is choreographed in the routine to allow these gymnasts to rest in between their jumps and in between their tumbling passes.
She has deceptive power. The coaches call her somewhat of a pogo stick when she takes off on the floor.
Watch this split jump. So hard to control that at the very end of the routine, but I love the height on that split jump.
Amelia Hundley giving her congratulations. Amelia on the staff, the former All-American at Florida, now coaching at Alabama.
Love the ease of this tumbling pass. Tuck full in. And then watch this split jump. I love her chest up. So difficult to do at the end of the routine when you're tired. Alabama has been so fun to watch. I couldn't help but watch them in warm-ups. They just have a dance party. They have so much fun, and I think it really shows. You know, when I talk about Ashley Johnston talks about having fun, you can really see it. They really walk the walk.
The Oklahoma Sooners are in the lead, and some clutch performances on beam in that third of 4 rotations will retain the lead over Alabama. We do not yet have the score for Gabby Gladio, but we do have one of the most dominant coaches in all of collegiate history. KJ Kindler is with us. KJ, what are you seeing from your team that impresses you, and what would you like to see more of as you go into the 4th and final rotation?
Hey there. I know this will sound a little odd, but these misses that we've had today have really tested our team. We haven't had a lot of this year, so I actually like what I'm seeing, the way they're responding after those misses. We haven't had a lot of practice with that, and I can't think of a better time to do it than right now before we go into the postseason. So I've been really happy about how they've responded. They could be a little more aggressive in those moments, but you know, this is the first time they're doing it, so I'm happy with that.
Every competition is a learning experience,
yes.
And good luck as you continue throughout today and through the rest of the season.
Thanks,
Oklahoma,
Bart.
they are on top, averaging 9.93 today. They lead by a little over a half a point. They will go to the floor, and Alabama will be on the beam in the 4th and final rotation here. The Sooners at home have the lead on Senior Day. It's on April 20th for the National Championship on ABC. Postseason coverage gets started next week with the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 Conference Championships on Saturday, March 23rd. Back here in Lloyd Noble Center, Bart Connor along with Allie Raisman. Allie, I know you're new to college gymnastics. You've called a few meets, and you're going to do the championships this year in about a month. What has impressed you so far about what you've seen in college gymnastics?
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's been so fun. What's really impressed me is the form and the attention to detail. Because college is out of a 10.0, I feel like all these gymnasts are setting the bar very high. They're all pushing each other to the next level. And then also, as someone who is still close with so many of my teammates, I love the bond that I see. When I'm here watching practice, you can just see they form this sisterhood. They love each other. They have so much fun together. It makes me happy, brings me a lot of joy to watch.
Well, let's take a look at how they qualify for the postseason. It's based on what's called the NQS, the National Qualifying Score. Basically, the way they calculate that, they identify the 6 highest scores. At least 3 of those have to be from away meets. They drop the highest score and average the 5 remaining scores, and that determines the rankings as they head into the postseason. So that does affect Alabama today, and this is interesting. You see that 198.075, that's the home score. The high score is going to be dropped. They have a 197.325 as their low away score. So today they're on pace to improve that score and perhaps move up in the rankings a little bit.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And Oklahoma, they have the top 4 NQS in history. And what's impressive is they continue to improve upon that.
All right, so we're getting set for the 4th and final rotations. The Sooners were trailing after the first event, but have surged into the lead by more than a half a point, and they'll be on the floor here on Senior Day in Norman. They're watching the Big 12 on ESPN. We're in Norman, Oklahoma today, where they're averaging over 8,500 fans in attendance. They've really built a fan base here in Norman, and the Sooners continue to dominate gymnastics. They lead by a half a point over Alabama as they move into the 4th and final rotation. The Sooners on the floor were, interestingly enough, is the only event that they don't rank #1 in the country. They're #2. So they are remarkably consistent, and a lot of folks on hand today for Senior Day and a lot of parents in attendance as Alabama has the opportunity now to try to make this meet a little bit closer if they can be solid on beam. And Lily Hudson is the first of the 6 athletes who will be in their lineup.
Yeah, this is a newer routine for Lily. She used to connect that back handspring into a layout step out, but struggled on it a couple of meets earlier in the season, was determined to go back into the gym. They reworked her routine.
How comfortable were you as an athlete when you had to make last-minute adjustments?
Not comfortable. I'm a very routine-oriented person. Switch leap, very difficult skill to connect in a row. It's hard because when you go to the meet, you're nervous, so you want to trust your muscle memory. Right here is the skill. She's going to do a switch leap half. This is the skill she added in. Because they took out the layout step out, she needed this skill to get a 10.0 start value.
The way the scores are calculated, 9-4 is the base score. If you do all the requirements, then 6 extra tenths come for combinations and extra difficult skills, which she has fulfilled.
Wow. I'm impressed with that routine, especially after talking to Coach Johnson. She said she really has struggled with her confidence on beam, and it really affected her. And you would never know watching that routine. This just shows how hard work makes such a big difference. Switch leap half, this is the skill that was added into the routine. Not easy to change your routine. Coach Johnson talked about she did that back handspring layout step out her entire career. So to do that for so many years of your life and then have to switch something last minute, really well done for her.
And to have the added pressure of being the lead-off competitor. Speaking of that, here is lead-off on floor, Audrey Davis.
Front double twist. Makes that look so easy. Audrey is so consistent. She's only had 1 fall in her entire NCAA career, and that was on beam her freshman year.
She's been in the lineup today twice, scored 9.925s on beam and bars. Also a capable vaulter, but this is a tough vaulting team to make. The Sooners are so good there.
Oh.
So Audrey Davis not often in that lineup, but she could do the all-around for pretty much any other team in the country.
That 1.5 punch front full was a little bit over-rotated there. As I mentioned, the judges would rather see over-rotation than under-rotation, but they're gonna take an extra deduction. Was a little bit out of control on that landing. I really like what Coach Kindler said, though, that she's proud of this team, and I agree with her. They don't want to be perfect here tonight. They're not supposed to be peaking. They're supposed to slowly be getting better and learning, because the goal is to peak at national championships. Front handspring, front double twist. Showing off her flexibility out of that. And then this pass right here, front full, just bounced out of it a little bit. The judges want to see a little bit more control. They'd like to see her step into that dance element.
Maddie Wellagora now coming after Lily Hudson. Strong 9.875 in that leadoff spot.
Coach Johnson told us that Maddie is the mom of the team. She's very good at being unfazed about everything going on around you, which is the type of attitude that you want, the type of person you want when you're competing on balance beam. Handspring layout.
Oh, good
Just
finesse.
a slight little waver there. What's standing out to me about Maddie is I like how she's being very sharp on her dance. It gives her time to breathe. Really nice side aerial. That's a difficult skill, but it gives her time to think about every skill and not to rush. These gymnasts have 1.5 minutes to complete their beam routine. And sometimes when you're nervous, you tend to rush things. And the best gymnasts take their time and they pretend that they're on the floor. So using that dance to collect herself before the dismount. Round off 1.5. I
Wow.
like the height on that 1.5. Sometimes you want to hold back, but I like how she went big, got a lot of height on that, and still was able to stick the dismount.
Two great hits back-to-back here in Alabama's final rotation.
Yeah, I think they're going to be really happy with these first two routines. They look really confident. They've really improved throughout the season.
Alabama, one of the great programs in women's gymnastics. Their last national championship was several years ago, though. Oklahoma has been dominant, and Belle Johnson, a young lady who I'm particularly proud of because she started at 3 years old at the Bart Connor Gymnastic Academy. This is senior day for her, and she's got a whole bunch of family here in the crowd cheering her on. She has contributed a great deal on floor throughout her career.
Yeah, it's got to be such an emotional night for these athletes. They've been doing gymnastics, some of them, as you mentioned, from the age of 3 or 2 years old. This is really all they've ever known. So it could be a little scary having that transition. And also, you're used to being with your teammates and having so much fun in the gym every day. Double tuck. That mat right there is called a sting mat. No deduction for that, just to help with the landing. Sometimes it can be a little bit of wear and tear towards the end of the season, so it's just to help protect the athletes.
Belle Johnson, part of this senior class that has never lost in the Lloyd Noble Center. They're 35-0. She's experienced 128 wins in her career and 2 NCAA titles with this team.
It's incredible, but it shows when you watch them in practice. They're very disciplined and they really pay attention to the details. You can see it even when they're warming up at the competition. Everything is mimicking what it would feel like in a competition.
She was one of the athletes dealing with strep throat, as several on the team were earlier this week, but she told me before the meet they all got on antibiotics by Tuesday and they're all recovering well. So There's so many things that these young athletes are dealing with, not only competing week in and week out and dealing with managing their bodies and injuries, they're also students. You know, they're also community service and things. So there's so much to what they contribute, not just here on the competitive floor. Ella Burgess now on beam.
I love that skill. She does a back handspring with one arm. We see a lot of back handspring layouts, but we don't see a lot of one-arm back handsprings. That requires a lot of strength, and it's also an extra 10th bonus because it's so difficult. Coach Johnson talked about how detail-oriented Ella is. She says that she goes into the practice gym and says, what will work in competition and how can I create that in practice? She goes through her cues, her words, and she walks through the exact same thing in the meet. I think that is the secret sauce to being a consistent competitor.
And another strong landing for Alabama. 3 solid routines in a row here in the 4th and final rotation. They are trailing Oklahoma, but they're doing a really clean job on beam.
They really are. There's that back handspring layout with one arm. Most people cannot do that because it requires so much strength on that one arm. Talk about that force on that one arm. Yeah, this has been a really exciting night for Alabama. I've watched them throughout the season, and the goal is you want to get better and better as it gets closer to nationals, and I really think that's what Alabama is doing.
Reagan Smith now on floor. You see here floor average.
Double tuck, made that look so easy, didn't even need to grab her legs. And you talked about some of these athletes having strep throat. As so many people know, when you're sick, it completely knocks you off of your rhythm. It affects your stamina. It affects your strength. And the fact that they're out here performing at the best level, doing routine, is so much easier said than done.
We often talk about that team score of 198, which is a 9.9 average. Oklahoma this year, 8 out of 9 meets were over 198. So they have been not only superb, but consistently so. Likely to be over 198 here again, because Belle Johnson had a 9.95 after Audrey Davis led them off with a 9.9.
Double pike. So impressive. Especially as I mentioned, she had to miss 2 days of practice this week. You would never know watching her. Now this first pass, what I love is she doesn't even need to use her arms to pull her legs. Most gymnasts grab their legs to help them get more rotation, and then finishes up with a double pike.
Tom Haley, one of the associate head coaches, giving her a few notes after that performance. Gaddy Gladio now. Look at the scores for Alabama. They're doing a nice job. 9.925 for Ella Burgess in the middle of the line.
I love this skill. Back handspring layout, 2 feet. We don't see that often in NCAA gymnastics.
Seemed like you did that too, didn't you?
I did do that, yes.
What makes that more difficult than, say, a 1 foot landing?
I think what's hard about it is you have to get more height, and if you pike down a little bit, that you risk the judges giving you only a pike instead of a layout. So there's a risk of not getting that 10-0 start value. Switch leap, split leap, connected that beautifully. When I say connection, the judges are looking for fluid movement with the arms. If you break the connection, you don't get that connection bonus. Round off, double twist.
And another great landing.
I think this is the best beam I've seen from Alabama. I think they're going to be thrilled with this.
She got a hug there from Makari Doggett, who is out with a lower leg injury. She's one of their greats on the sidelines, leading cheers nowadays. So they're having to do this kind of performance without one of the greats right there on the right of your screen, Makari Doggett. Good job for Gabby Gladio. Ashley Johnston happy with what she's seeing with her team in the 4th and final rotation. Kat Levasseur coming after Reagan Smith, 9.975. Every score for the Sooners 9-9 or better on this event.
Full in. Even in that, her toes are pointed. So hard to remember all those little details when you're thinking about competing. You have so many other things going on.
I mentioned earlier that I think the gymnasts have actually superseded the quality and the consistency of the judging because there are so many scores that are in that 9-9 to 10 range. It's becoming more and more to differentiate between good, excellent, and exceptional routines in college gymnastics. It often comes down to the little details, and that's what Oklahoma is known for.
Round off 1.5. Punch layout half into a straddle jump. Saw similar thing that Gabby Gladio did with the split jump. Not easy to end with that.
Kat Levasseur, she has 2 9.9s today on vault and beam and a 9.975 on bars, finishing up strong here in the all-around and for her team.
Full in to open up this routine. And then last pass. Keep your eye on the height of this straddle jump.
Wow.
Kat told me she's superstitious, and Audrey Davis does Kat's hair before every competition. Really shows their camaraderie and their friendship.
Shania Adams up now. Second 9.925 in a row for Alabama, doing a nice job in this 4th and final rotation. Whoa.
That was a good save.
Oh my
I
goodness.
saw that as well. Her chest dipped a little bit low. That's a hard thing to do in the beginning of the routine. Sometimes those turns and dance elements, they look easy, but those are sometimes the ones that give gymnasts a little bit of trouble.
And she was so off, and yet she drilled it. Wow.
That wolf turn is what it's called, and it's a hard skill to do. It also requires a lot of flexibility.
And not many people do it well either. It's to do it with that execution is superior.
But sometimes after you make a little mistake in the beginning of the routine, it kind of wakes you up a little bit of a form break there, but I can see every skill. She's trying really hard to be aggressive and tight. I can see her focus. Back handspring, 1.5 dismount. Landed really upright on that dismount. It was really well done. Watch her chest, goes a little bit in her arm. It's hard to keep your arms balanced, but that's what she needed to do. Impressive she stayed on.
Big 12 now on ESPN Plus is a must-have for Big 12 fans with baseball and softball in full swing. More than 300 matchups are available, along with the early rounds of Baseball Conference Championship. If you're a Big 12 fan, you have to have it. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com/Big12 now. While Alabama doing well on beam, similarly for the Sooners on the floor. 9.925 the score for Kat Levasseur. Spectacular day in the all-around her. 39.7, one of her best scores. Faith Torres now.
Huge double layout. We don't see so many double layouts, so I like how she's taking a big risk.
Here's an interesting note. OU program record is 198.675. The last two gymnasts score a total of 19.9, which is a 9.95 average. They could beat their OU program record today on senior day against Alabama.
It's so impressive. Oklahoma continues to beat their record week after week. Front through to a double tuck. That double tuck she landed with her chest up and opened up at the right time. I really like that landing.
That power comes in handy at the end of the routine for Faith Torres.
Front through into a double tuck, opens up with enough time to open up really at the right time. Not easy to do at the end of your routine when you're tired.
Shania Adams for Alabama had a 9.9, and the average for Luisa Blanco is over 9.9, tied for 6th in the conference. On beam, another example of her precision and elegance shows up here.
Yeah, with beautiful skills like that, front aerial. If you watch her, I like how I can see her visibly take deep breaths. She's taking her time in between every skill. That handspring layout. Wow. Most gymnasts stop after that first layout, but Luisa takes a big risk with connecting 3 skills in a row. We don't often see that in college gymnastics, but with big risk comes big reward. Coach Johnson told me that they really have to work with Luisa on managing expectations of herself and not trying too hard to be perfect. But whatever they're doing, it's working because this routine has been fantastic so far.
What a final rotation here. And could they get one more stuck landing? Luisa Blanco!
Wow. Wow. What a rotation for Alabama. What a huge confidence boost for them going into the conference championship on Saturday.
She has had 4 10s in her career on beam.
Watch
and this one was superb.
Fantastic. 3 skills connected in a row. So difficult. Round off 1.5. Stuck. Dismount. You see her arms right out there looking right at Coach Johnson. She knew that was coming.
Meanwhile, on the floor now, comes back over to the Sooners. Faith Torres, a 9.975. And Jordan Bowers, the anchor competitor, currently 4th in the country on this event. A 9.925 or better for Bowers would give OU a program record here today on St. Patrick's Day. The luck of the Irish.
Wow. Great handspring front double throw into the punch front. What stood out to me on that is her punch front. The 3rd skill was higher than the 2nd skill.
Already today, she's had a 9.925, a 9.95, and a 9.975.
Double pike.
Ooh. Didn't quite keep that foot down.
Didn't control the landing as much as the judges would like to, but that will be a small deduction. What stands out to me about Jordan Stanz is her eyes, her fierceness, the way that she performs this.
KJ Kindler prides herself in the variety and the passion of a choreography that she helps these women create. What a way to finish senior day for the Sooners. Jordan Bowers. Huge crowd on hand.
Now watch this front double full, and the punch front was higher than that second skill, which shows the ease that she has in the control. And then last pass, double pike. If she just opened up the slightest bit earlier, you see her hips were a little bit too far back on that landing. Just will get a small deduction for that.
They're celebrating it. It just came up. It's a 10.
Oh, wow.
Well, Jordan Bowers
What?
for the Sooners. A 10 to wrap up this competition between two of the great programs in women's gymnastics history. OU continues to dominate. OU gets a program record today, 198.775. Woo! What an afternoon here in Norman, Oklahoma. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes to wrap this one up. The Sooners get the win and remain undefeated, and the senior class has never been beaten in this building. Exclusive live announcement of the 68-team NCAA Women's Championship field. We'll break down every team and every matchup in each region at 8 Eastern on ESPN and the app. What a big day here for the Sooners on St. Patrick's Day. The luck of the Irish was with them, in fact. 198.775 is a team record score, a program record score, and they were led by Jordan Bowers, who herself had a career best all-around 39.85.
Yeah, starting off on vault, even with that slow-mo, hard to find any deduction when you watch this in the air. Small hop on that landing, and then this bar routine, just really showing her consistency and her form. This dismount, her knees and toes are glued together the entire time. This back handspring, layout, step out. And then this dismount right here, stuck landing. And then last pass on floor, a double pike, finishes out with a 10 on floor.
And there is Jordan Bowers. Congratulations, Jordan.
Thank
we
you.
were talking at the top of the show that it's a long season. This is the 11th week. How in the world do you continue to create those level of performances even at your best today of your career?
Yeah, just day in and day out in the gym, really working on those details, trying to get better at those little things that really just add up to the big picture, and focusing on those little things, and that just gets it done.
Congratulations, Jordan. How are you feeling going into Big 12 championships on Saturday?
Yeah, feeling really good. We're super ready for postseason. Super excited. We're so close as a team, and we're just ready to get it going.
Congratulations. Thank you for joining us, Jordan, and good luck throughout the postseason.
Thank you.
Quick recap on the schedule for next week. We have conference championships, the SEC championship, the ACC championship, and the Big 12 championship, all on the SEC networks, ESPNU, and the ACC network.
Accompanied by your mother, Mary Hawthorne.
A senior day, they're going to be presenting senior awards and some very emotional speeches for these young women and their families here in one of their last meets in the Lloyd Noble. Oklahoma, a great day with a program record 198.775. Enjoyed working with you, Allie Raceman. I'm Bart Connor. We want to thank you all for joining us. So long from Norman, Oklahoma. The regular season is over and it's postseason from here on out. Good luck to the teams going forward.